Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. At the same time, Wang Lin took a deep breath and rapidly moved his hands. Many restrictions were shot from his hands into the surroundings. He then took out his restriction flag and shook it. The flag covered the area with black fog, but then it quickly disappeared. Just as he finished doing all of this, the Earth Spirit arrived. The Earth Spirit was messy right now. When it saw Wang Lin, it didn't pay him any attention. Although it was very weak right now, with its late-stage soul formation cultivation, it could still kill a late-stage nascent soul cultivator at will. In its view, Wang Lin wasn't qualified to make it cautious. The moment it arrived, it waved its hand and a wave of earth power charged at Wang Lin. The moment that power touched him, he felt a sweetness in his throat as he coughed out blood. The nascent soul in his body shook and almost collapsed. The Earth Spirit frowned, but it didn't pause at all. Then, the blood Wang Lin coughed out turned into a blood mist and disappeared into the air. At the same time, a large amount of black fog appeared. Arms of restriction smoke shot out and surrounded the Earth Spirit. Shortly after, 8 black restriction rings appeared, forming a cage with the restriction flag to trap the Earth Spirit. Wang Lin immediately backed up. He knew that with his cultivation level, he couldn't resist the Earth Spirit at all. But he didn't intend to fight it himself, he only had to hold the Earth Spirit here until the young man with the brush arrived. The battle would be over then. The Earth Spirit noticed Wang Lin's intention. It let out a roar and slammed into the restriction ring while completely ignoring the restriction smoke. In truth, the Earth Spirit wasn't being affected by the restriction smoke. The moment the smoke entered its body, it was like the Earth Spirit was devouring it. With the first slam, a large amount of black smoke disappeared and a crisp crackling sound came from within. Wang Lin's heart ached. He knew that cracks had appeared on the restriction flag. The Earth Spirit let out another roar. It didn't break through the first time, so it slammed into the cage again. This time, all of the black smoke was destroyed. Although the restriction flag remained intact, there were even more cracks on it now. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The young man with the ink brush arrived right when the Earth Spirit was about to slam a third time. The young man's eyes were still closed as his hand moved with the brush. Although it looked slow, he moved it very quickly until it was pointed at the Earth Spirit. Suddenly, the Earth Spirit let out a miserable scream as even more black smoke burst from its body, weakening it severely. It revealed a stubborn gaze. Unwilling to give up, it was about to slam a third time. Wang Lin secretly sighed. He pointed his hand at the air and the black seal fell from the sky. The killing intent mixed with the soul fragment came down like the heavens collapsing. The Earth Spirit's face suddenly became very serious as its body turned into black mud. It attempted to wrap around the black seal. At that moment, the young man opened his eyes, which revealed a mysterious light. His hand moved again, causing a large amount of the black mud created by the Earth Spirit to disappear. The black seal's pressure smashed down on the Earth Spirit, causing it to let out a miserable scream as it turned back into human shape. However, the Earth Spirit was not half transparent. It was as if it would dissipate if the wind blew on it. The Earth Spirit revealed a look of despair as the young man raised his hand. He was about to wave the brush again. Wang Lin immediately charged into the restriction flag and pointed at his brow. A powerful suction force appeared and immediately sucked the Earth Spirit into Wang Lin's brow. Wang Lin didn't have time to check on it once it was absorbed into the heaven-defying bead. He sucked the black seal back and waved his hand to put the restriction flag back into his bag of holding. All of this was done very quickly. Afterwards, he didn't hesitate to shout, "Junior is a disciple of the White Cloud sect. My master is Ching Song." With that, his divine sense entered his bag of holding to control the old man's carving to release a sliver of the passing of time domain before turning around and leaving. The young man stared at Wang Lin with a cold gaze, but his hand didn't move. After a while, he turned around and left. Wang Lin flew for 10,000 kilometers while on guard before stopping. Only when he noticed that the young man wasn't chasing did he finally let out a sigh of relief. Wang Lin took a lot of risk to steal this Earth Spirit from someone else's grasp. He decided to not risk trying to get the other elemental spirits. It would be too dangerous. If he had made a single mistake, he would have died. Also, the damage to the restriction flag caused his heart to ache. Hidden inside a mountain of snow, Wang Lin checked the heaven-defying bead and found that the earth element was completely filled. Now he only needed wood and metal to complete the heaven-defying bead. Just at this moment, the ground shook and countless ice sculptures of snakes with human hands came out from the ground. These sculptures were the mysterious things Wang Lin found hidden more than 5,000 kilometers underground. One by one, the sculptures rose through the snow-covered ground. If one were to look from above, they would notice that these sculptures formed an image. This image looked exactly the same as the snakes with heads depicted on the ice sculptures. The ice sculptures began to shine as they all suddenly rose into the air. All of the ice sculptures in the entire four-sect alliance flew into the air at unimaginable speeds, and all of the rifts in the sky besides the one at the center disappeared. Shortly after, a powerful, dark blue aura came out of the rift at the center. Once the aura appeared, it quickly spread and surrounded the area 10,000 kilometers around it. Some of the four-sect alliance cultivators weren't able to dodge fast enough and were hit by this dark blue aura. They immediately froze and turned into ice sculptures. Even their nascent souls were completely frozen in place. This bizarre scene caused the surrounding four-sect alliance cultivators to be shocked. Next, the ice sculptures floating in the air melted. In a few short breaths, they had all melted completely. It was as if they were never there. When they disappeared, a powerful pressure came out of the rift at the center. A creature the size of a small mountain, with a snake body slowly descended from the rift. The moment this creature appeared, the dark blue aura became even denser and spread out farther. No matter what it touched, everything would freeze into a block of ice. Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air, and without a word left the mountain of snow. Not more than 3 breaths after he left, the blue aura swept by and turned the mountain of snow into an ice mountain. At this moment, the creature with the snake body had already descended halfway. Surprisingly, the upper half was that of a human. Wang Lin already expected that the creature would be the same as the ice sculptures. Although he had already notified Zhu Wutai of this matter, whether the four-sect alliance did anything about it was not Wang Lin's concern. Wang Lin ran until the blue aura stopped spreading, then he stopped and looked at the sky with a gloomy face. At this moment, Zhu Wutai, who was standing above the dragon's head, let out a cold snort. Suddenly, the black dragon under him flew into the air. It opened its mouth, which looked like it could devour the heavens, and charged toward the descending creature. The dark blue aura didn't have any effect on the black dragon. However, as the black dragon charged toward the creature, a cold voice came from inside the rift. "Lord Messenger, Suzaku promised to help us once, so I'm asking you now to kill this black dragon." As those words came out, a woman in a white robe with long, flowing hair came out of the rift. This woman was very graceful. It didn't seem like there was even much coldness coming from her body, but her eyes revealed that she was a very determined person. The moment the woman appeared, everyone, even fools, could tell at a glance that the difference between her and the woman before was too great. It was like comparing the bright moon to a firefly. After this woman appeared, she waved her hand and 4 rays of light flew to her from 4 different directions. Those were the metal, wood, water, and fire elemental spirits. The woman's brow furrowed. There is one missing. Her master once told her that her 5 elemental spirits appeared when she was born to protect her forever. The 5 elemental spirits were not at the late stage of soul formation when they were formed. They grew alongside Red Butterfly. Whenever she made a breakthrough, the 5 elemental spirits did as well. The stronger Red Butterfly was, the stronger the 5 elemental spirits were. As for where the 5 elemental spirits came from, no one knew. In the end, Red Butterfly's master sacrificed her cultivation to obtain a hint. Red Butterfly had the 5 elemental spirit body. In her life, she will only have one trial. Once she passes that trial, she will gain the true 5 elemental spirit body, and will never have a bottleneck. However, even though her master had used her cultivation as the price, she still wasn't able to predict what the trial would be. After a while, it was kind of put to the side, but there was a tiny part of everyone's hearts waiting for that trial. Just before this war, Red Butterfly's master suddenly had a vision. Using this chance, she was able to figure out a hint of her trial. That was why before the war, she told Red Butterfly to hand her 5 elemental spirits to her senior apprentice sister so that her senior may lead Shuiyu into battle against the Four-Sect Alliance. In truth, this all went as her master had planned. Using her senior as a replacement, Red Butterfly was able to dodge this trial. As a result, once her senior died, her trial would be over and her future path would be without obstacles. This was why she came out of the rift. But at this moment, when she found out that one of the 5 elemental spirits were missing, her heart suddenly felt that something was off and her expression became gloomy. There were 8 people standing behind her. Among the 8 people, 7 of them were dressed the same. There were males and females among the 7, and they were all very old, because they were the 7 grand elders of Shuiyu. Even after Red Butterfly enters Suzaku, these 7 will still follow her and act as her bodyguards. The last person was a middle-aged man that was wearing a black robe. This person's face was a pale yellow, making him look very sickly. He lazily nodded after hearing the woman speak, then took a step forward and immediately arrived between the black dragon and the snake creature. He looked at the black dragon and smiled. I don't have the right to kill this dragon, but I can remove the bloodline. With that, he waved his right hand, causing Ju Wutai's body to shake and cough out a mouthful of blood. He felt the presence of a powerful force. This force made his body shoot into the distance like a meteor. The blood Ju Wutai coughed out was condensed into a drop of purple blood in the middle-aged man's hand. Then he flicked the drop of blood into the brow of the black dragon. The black dragon let out a roar filled with sorrow, but alongside that sorrow there was a sense of liberation. The dragon looked at the ground, then its whole body suddenly stopped moving as the soul of a dragon flew out and disappeared in the distance. The black dragon quickly turned back into a mountain, after losing the dragon's soul, and fell back to the ground. The black dragon no longer protected the 4-sect alliance. The moment the mountain fell, the resulting sound was like the signal telling the 4-sect alliance that they were doomed. The middle-aged man let out a sigh. He returned to the woman's side and continued to look sickly. Finally, the snake creature with the top half of a human fully descended from the rift. The woman in the white robe gently landed on the head of the snake creature. She pointed at the ground and the snake creature spat out dark blue aura. The moment this aura appeared, it began to spread like crazy. No matter who it was, if they touched this aura, they would only manage to struggle a bit before turning into an ice statue. Soul formation cultivators were no exception. Wang Lin stared at the scene before him. His scalp went numb. Although he was very far from that woman, the speed of the dark blue aura was too great. Without a word, he put on the straw hat and escaped. He used his full speed to escape the dark blue aura. His destination was where Ju Wutai was thrown. As the dark blue aura spread, the entire 4-sect alliance was turned into a world of ice. The cultivators of the 4-sect alliance flew out of their sects with looks of indignation on their faces. After glancing at their home, they all tried to leave. But how could the cultivators of Shuiyu let them just leave like this? Wang Lin was very fast. He knew what the result would be the moment that sickly middle-aged man acted. Shuiyu was going to cut the roots this time, so it would be very hard for the cultivators of the 4-sect alliance to escape. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He no longer thought about this. Instead, he turned into an illusion as he flew even faster. He didn't dare to stop, as the dark blue aura was very fearsome. Everything the aura touched was turned to ice. Wang Lin didn't believe he would survive by relying on luck. Before long, his divine sense noticed that 1,000 kilometers away, there was a hole in a mountain of snow. That was where Ju Wutai had landed. Wang Lin's body disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already at the mountain of snow. He didn't hesitate at all as he entered the hole. The moment he entered, he saw Ju Wutai. Ju Wutai didn't die, he was only knocked unconscious. Wang Lin quickly took Ju Wutai's bag of holding and left. He didn't dare to linger. Almost at the exact moment he left the snow mountain, the dark blue aura arrived. The entire mountain of snow turned into a mountain of ice. While Wang Lin was flying in the sky, he used his powerful divine sense to wipe off Ju Wutai's divine sense from the bag of holding. He let out a smile when he found the rain cauldron inside it. Just as he put the bag away, his expression suddenly changed. He saw an ice tower with more than 80 floors appear before him. An old woman walked out of it. She shot Wang Lin a cold glance and raised her right hand. Wang Lin quickly backed up and pointed at his brow. The courting family members that were turned into devils by him flew out. As soon as these devils appeared, they jumped at the old woman. The old woman revealed a look of disdain as she flicked her finger. The devils were quickly surrounded by blue ice. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and thought, explode. 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 Suddenly, the devils exploded inside the blue ice and turned into a cloud of black smoke. Wang Lin's body never stopped. He used the black smoke to disappear from sight. When he reappeared, he was already more than 1,000 kilometers away. He quickly started to run again. At the same time, his right hand pointed at his brow once more. This time, he ordered every devil besides Shuligo to explode. Only after a few seconds of escaping did Wang Lin feel that some of the devils had already exploded. Although the smoke was now thicker, the feeling of a needle at this back was still there. You won't be able to escape. The old woman's gloomy voice came from behind him. The 80-plus floor ice tower charged out from the black smoke with the old woman sitting at the top. The expression on her face was dark. Wang Lin didn't turn around. He slapped his bag of holding and a cloud of black smoke appeared. The black smoke condensed into a nascent soul puppet. Wang Lin suddenly turned around as his hand formed a seal, and red lightning shot out from his eyes. The red lightning entered the puppet as he shouted, "Go." Suddenly, the puppet charged at the old woman as if it was crazy. The old woman stood still at the top of the ice tower. The look of contempt in her eyes became even stronger. She reached out and grabbed. Suddenly, the ice and snow on the ground flew up and blocked the puppet. As Wang Lin ran away, his eyes became cold as he thought, "Explode." A flash of red appeared in the puppet's eyes. As the ice and snow closed in on it, it exploded. The explosion of a nascent soul puppet at full power was very scary. Under the control of the puppet, the energy of that explosion didn't spread in all directions. Instead, it was directed at the old woman. At the same time, in the middle of the explosion, a bolt of red lightning charged toward the old woman. This red lightning was Wang Lin's G realm. Although its effect on soul formation cultivators wasn't large, it was still enough to shock their consciousness. The old woman didn't care too much about the red lightning, but she slightly frowned at the explosion of the nascent soul puppet. She put her hand on the ice tower, making rays of white light shoot out from all the windows. These rays of white light condensed around the old woman, forming an ice shield 10 feet thick. However, the old woman would never have thought that the red lightning would just go through the ice shield as if it weren't even there. Her expression changed as she moved her hand to block it, but the red lightning suddenly entered her body through her arm. The red lightning charged directly through her body and into her consciousness, causing her vision to become hazy. This only lasted for a few short moments before she returned to normal, but now there was a sliver of dread in her eyes. This sliver of confusion caused the ice shield around her to weaken. Without the old woman's control, the ice shield absorbed some damage, which caused it to collapse. The rest of the explosion hit the old woman directly. It was also at this moment that the old woman regained her senses. She let out a cold snort and her white robe puffed up. With some popping sounds, the explosion of the puppet was stopped by the mysterious formation on her white robe. Once the smoke disappeared, the old woman sucked in a breath of cold air. She returned to her ice tower without a word and was about to leave. But it was too late. Earlier, when Wang Lin took out the puppet, he made a decision. Right now, he was at the point of life and death. The old woman was clearly not an early-stage soul formation cultivator. She was very likely at the peak of the mid-stage. This old woman's techniques must contain her domain, so if he were to get caught, it would be too dangerous. The gap between their cultivation levels was too large, so even if he ran, he wasn't any faster. Wang Lin's eyes became decisive as he made a decision. He had to finish this quickly, or else once the other Shuiyu cultivators arrive, it will be very hard to escape. He had to take victory as quickly as possible before the old woman considered him a threat. Wang Lin didn't hesitate at all. The moment he threw out the nascent soul puppet, he took a deep breath, and a thin thread slowly came out of his hand. The sliver of divine retribution. In addition to this, he could also hide inside the heaven-defying bead. However, that was his last resort, because he would rather use the sliver of divine retribution than allow the old woman to see the heaven-defying bead. The heaven-defying bead was his most well-kept secret, and shouldn't be exposed. But if he didn't have the sliver of divine retribution, he would have no choice but to enter the heaven-defying bead. Wang Lin used the moment the old woman was dazed by the G realm to activate the sliver of divine retribution. This sliver of divine retribution was Wang Lin's ace that had helped him survive many crises, but in order to live, he still used it today. It wasn't that he didn't consider using it to threaten her, it was because there were many Shuiyu cultivators here. He could threaten her, but once she leaves and brings back more cultivators, he would be in a very dangerous situation. So the ideal situation was to kill her with the sliver of divine retribution before she even realized it. Although he felt a bit heartbroken when using it, Wang Lin was not an indecisive person. The sliver of divine retribution disappeared and red clouds appeared in the sky. These clouds appeared very mysteriously. In almost an instant, the red clouds covered the sky. As for the dark blue aura, it really couldn't compare to the red cloud. The dark blue aura moved out of the way of the red clouds, as if it didn't dare to block their path. This was the scene the old woman saw once she recovered from Wang Lin's attack. She didn't immediately recognize what this was, but the moment she saw the red clouds, she felt fear. So she didn't hesitate to hide inside the ice tower. At this moment, the white-robed red butterfly looked at the red clouds with a curious gaze. The sickly middle-aged man behind her suddenly became very alert. His sickly look completely disappeared as he stared at the red clouds. He didn't say a word. He completely ditched his job of protecting red butterfly to go to the red clouds. Wang Lin's face was pale and his right hand trembled as he watched the old woman escape to the ice tower. His eyes lit up as he controlled the red clouds and pointed at the ice tower. Suddenly, a bolt of red lightning appeared in the red clouds. This red lightning was unbelievably fast. At almost the exact same moment it appeared, it landed on the ice tower. That sliver of red lightning seemed to have triggered the rest of the clouds. Sounds of friction could be heard inside the clouds as red lightning gathered to form a bolt of purple lightning that was as thick as an arm before crashing down from the sky. The old woman was about to dodge inside the ice tower when she realized that her surroundings were locked down by a destructive force, making her unable to move. A look of despair appeared on her face. She never would have expected to attract divine retribution when she went to chase a mere nascent soul junior. No matter how dumb she was, she realized that this was the mythical divine retribution. The purple divine retribution smashed down on the ice tower. The ice tower and the old woman disappeared without a trace. It was as if they had never existed. Wang Lin took a deep breath and directed another regrettable look at the divine retribution. But he knew that this was not the time to linger, so he turned around and escaped. But after moving just 100 feet, he noticed a powerful divine sense sweep by him. At that moment, the straw hat on his head glowed and that divine sense quickly retreated. Suddenly, hot energy emanated from the straw head and entered his head. It showed the image of the middle-aged man, who destroyed the dragon rapidly approaching. Wang Lin was terrified and had no time to be amazed at the straw hat's ability. He quickly pointed his finger at his brow and disappeared into the heaven-defying beads space. After the purple divine retribution lightning destroyed the ice tower and old woman, it began to dissipate slowly. The red clouds in the sky also began to disperse, but just at this moment, the middle-aged man from Suzaku arrived. His eyes looked crazed as he stared at the red cloud. Then he let out a roar, and an unimaginable aura spread from his body. Suddenly, the dissipating red cloud began to move again. It was as if it were trying to condense once more. However, without that sliver of divine retribution to guide it, the red cloud could no longer condense again. The middle-aged man was extremely worried about the red cloud. He knew that this was an extremely rare chance for him. If he were to miss this chance, he didn't know if he would ever encounter something this good in his life again. However, the red clouds could no longer condense and he could only watch as they dissipated. It was like seeing a mountain of gold and silver before you, but as you reached out to grab it, you noticed that there was an uncrossable gap between it and you. Anxious, the middle-aged man bit his finger and drew blood symbols. The symbols flew out one by one into the red clouds. Gradually, more and more blood symbols entered the red clouds. Finally, the speed at which the red cloud was dissipating seemed to slow down. The middle-aged man relaxed for a moment before his face became ugly again. The red clouds were already very weak and about to disappear, but they were stabilized by the blood symbols. However, the dark blue aura suddenly rushed in as it was now stronger, and sped up the dissipation of the red clouds. Seeing the red clouds quickly dissipate until there was only one left, the middle-aged man let out an angry roar as he charged into the middle of it. The moment his body entered the red cloud, bolts of purple lightning entered his body. He felt pain, but was also very comfortable as the lightning struck him. However, this only lasted for a very short period of time as the red cloud quickly dissipated. The middle-aged man stared dumbfoundedly at the sky, his face very gloomy. Earlier, when his divine sense swept by, he only found the ice tower and a golden glow. The glow caused his divine sense to feel pain, so he pulled back. Afterward, he couldn't feel that golden glow anymore. After pondering for a bit, he clasped his hands and shouted, "Fellow cultivator, who attracted the divine retribution, I am Oyuji from Suzaku. I would like to ask fellow cultivator to attract the divine retribution again. I will reward you handsomely." After a long time and still no response, the middle-aged man let out a sigh. He reached out and grabbed the air. There was a scream as a giant arm covered in blue aura flew toward him. The arm landed in his hand and then turned to dust. The snake creature only had one arm left. Red Butterfly's expression was calm, but there was a hidden trace of anger. The middle-aged man let out a cold snort and slowly said, "If it wasn't for this damn beast ruining my fortune, then I would have been able to complete my technique today. I'm already very generous in taking only one arm. Red Butterfly, remember this well." Red Butterfly didn't speak. The seven behind her only dared to be too silently angry. They didn't utter a word. The middle-aged man moved. When he reappeared, he was behind Red Butterfly. He once again looked very sickly. Almost all of the cultivators of the four-sect alliance died in the year after the battle. Only a few were lucky enough to remain hidden in the new Shuayu. Time slowly passed. After living here for a year, Red Butterfly followed the middle-aged man to Suzaku. As for the rain cauldron, no matter how much the cultivators of Shuayu searched, they couldn't find it. They believed that it was in the hands of the surviving four-sect alliance cultivators. After Shuayu took over the country, massive amounts of mortals from the original Shuayu migrated over. Snow continued to fall, causing the new Shuayu to be forever cold. One by one, ice towers unique to Shuayu appeared. After 3 years, this land completely belonged to Shuayu. Time quickly passed. 5 years later, at a place 30,000 kilometers from the boundary of Shuayu, a rainbow-colored light gradually condensed. It was Wang Lin. The heaven-defying bead had undergone a mysterious change after absorbing the earth spirit. Before, it would have been impossible for him to stay inside for 5 years. But after the earth element was completed, the amount of time Wang Lin could spend inside was far longer than before. A big change was that the heaven-defying space now had some spiritual energy inside. There was none in there before. This spiritual energy was much more pure than the spiritual energy outside. Although Wang Lin had never felt celestial spiritual energy, he felt that the spiritual energy inside the bead was a bit less pure than celestial spiritual energy. In addition to all of this, the most important change was that all of the small light sources inside the heaven-defying bead had gathered together and formed 5 large masses of light in the sky. Among the 5 masses of light, 3 of them are glowing brightly, 1 of them was only glowing slightly, and the last one was very dim, without any color. Wang Lin had spent the years inside the heaven-defying bead observing the masses of light. With his perception, he realized that these 5 masses of light were related to the elements. It was very likely that these 5 masses of light were made of the elemental energy gathered by the heaven-defying bead. The 3 brightly glowing ones were the water, earth, and fire elements. The half-glowing one was the wood element. As for the completely dim light, it was the metal element. In the years Wang Lin had spent observing the heaven-defying bead, he got a very mysterious feeling from the lights. It was as if they were alive. If someone whose cultivation level was higher than Wang Lin's was inside the bead, they would have a hard time noticing this. Wang Lin was able to notice this while he was cultivating his own life and death domain. During a moment of enlightenment, he was able to detect life inside the masses of light. This discovery suddenly increased his interest in the masses of light. Sichunan once said that the appearance of the heaven-defying bead caused all of the top cultivators in Suzaku, and even cultivators from other planets to come and fight for it. After losing his body, his nascent soul escaped into the heaven-defying bead and barely survived. After a series of events, he was able to escape those cultivators. After many years, the bead ended up inside the stomach of a bird and then found by Wang Lin. Wang Lin has had this heaven-defying bead for more than 400 years, but he still hadn't managed to figure out its true function. In his view, this bead could only alter time to a certain degree, and could change normal water to one with spiritual energy. These abilities were very useful for cultivators below the soul formation stage, but they weren't all that useful to soul formation and above cultivators. After all, for cultivators past the soul formation stage, the spiritual energy in the mortal world is no longer pure enough to cultivate with. Only celestial spiritual energy can be used, so this spiritual energy of the mortal world really wasn't that attractive to them. Making water with spiritual energy and time altering was somewhat useful, but with just these abilities, it didn't seem right for the top cultivators of Suzaku and other planets to come and fight for the bead. Wang Lin believed that this heaven-defying bead definitely had to have other uses. Why else would all those powerful cultivators fight over it? Sichunan had said before that after years of studying, he believed that the heaven-defying bead would only show its true nature once the 5 elements were complete. Maybe at that point, it will finally reveal a bit of its power. Wang Lin's interest for the true power of the heaven-defying bead not only didn't diminish with time, but he became even more interested. He even had a hope that the 5 masses of light would become like the 5 elemental spirits the white-robed woman had. Of course, this was all just speculation. Wang Lin stood in the new Shuiyu and let out a sigh. Aside from studying the 5 masses of light, the rest of his time was spent cultivating his life and death domain. He had spent more than 10 years inside the heaven-defying bead, but for some reason, when he was cultivating his life and death domain, the time-altering power of the heaven-defying space had lost its use. 5 years had passed outside. No matter how much time would pass inside the bead, it was still 5 years to his domain. This point puzzled Wang Lin greatly. At this moment, Wang Lin felt his own cultivation level. He would only need to cultivate his domain for 4 more years, before he finally reaches the soul formation stage. Wang Lin believed that once he reaches the soul formation stage, if he were to meet that mid-stage soul formation old woman, he will be able to put up a fight even without the divine retribution. Wang Lin was forced to leave the heaven-defying bead's space. Even with all the changes, 5 years was the limit. For a while, Wang Lin won't be able to stay inside for that long. Wang Lin let out a sigh. Instead of flying, he slowly walked forward. He put the straw hat away, and slowly walked on an ice field. The snow raged and the cold air tried to invade his body every time he took a deep breath. After a long time, he saw an ice city in the distance. In the center of the city was a 30-plus floor ice tower with a bead that emitted a mysterious light. The land under his feet now belonged to the new Shuiyu, so he really didn't have any right to intervene in this matter. He only wanted to find a quiet place to spend the next 4 years to reach the soul formation stage. When Wang Lin arrived in the ice city, he looked no different from a mortal. Shuiyu also had mortals. After they had migrated to the new land, they built new cities with the help of the cultivators. Wang Lin silently appeared inside the city. As he looked at all the ice houses, he couldn't help but feel like he was in a foreign place. There weren't many people walking around outside, and there weren't many inns or restaurants. The most common sight in the city were ice sculpture shops. Outside almost every house there was someone carving a giant block of ice with a chisel, creating very rough ice sculptures. There was something strange about these people. Along the way, no one talked at all. They were all either hurrying to somewhere or focused on carving the ice. Also, whenever an ice sculpture was completed, all of the nearby mortals would help move it to the ice tower. After leaving the ice sculptures there, someone from the tower would come out to accept it. Wang Lin pondered a little. His appearance seemed a bit out of place, so others were already taking notice of him. He let out a sigh and turned to leave. Once he reached a secluded area, he disappeared. In the blink of an eye, 1 year passed. During this year, Wang Lin had traveled all over Shuiyu and had entered almost every city. People no longer paid much attention to him, as he started dressing like other Shuiyu mortals after going into the first city. He was now wearing clothes made out of animal fur and a fizzled animal hat. Wang Lin learned a lot about Shuiyu during his 1 year here. The mortals of Shuiyu existed only to create ice sculpture for cultivators. They created ice sculptures to exchange for what they needed to live. There were no royal families or anything similar to them in Shuiyu. Instead, each city belonged to a powerful cultivator. Wang Lin had figured out what the use for those ice sculptures in this past year. The cultivators would take them, place a formation on them, and then use a special technique to bring them to life, making them into something like a puppet. This method was very mysterious. It required the use of the core essence of the Shuiyu cultivators. Wang Lin had studied it for a long time, and still wasn't able to learn anything. As for the ice sculptures themselves, a large amount of them was sold to other countries. Their prices varied depending on the cultivation level the ice sculptures displayed. The most expensive ice sculptures were nascent soul level. Wang Lin had only seen a few being made in all the cities he had visited. The failure rate to make one was extremely high. As for soul formation ice sculptures, Wang Lin still hadn't found a city that could produce one. Those types of puppets were probably very hard to produce, or even impossible. If they could easily make them, then the power of the Shuiyu cultivators would reach an unimaginable level. In this year, Wang Lin had witnessed 3 occasions where a large number of ice sculptures was bought by another rank 4 country. These ice sculptures required a large amount of materials to make, but they were the foundation of Shuiyu's infrastructure, so no expenses were spared. In addition to all of this, there was large amount of mortals starting to mine at the spirit veins in this land. It can be said that the mortals were slaves, as everything they did was to serve the cultivators. What baffled Wang Lin the most was that the mortals felt proud doing this. They weren't rejecting this type of treatment. Even if they were being overworked, there were no complaints. Wang Lin had come to a conclusion after spending a year here. Shuiyu was a very strange country. There was one more thing that shocked Wang Lin. All of the mortals carried a small ice sculpture with them. These ice sculptures were connected to the most powerful cultivator in their respective cities. No matter how tired they were or even if they were dying, every morning and evening they would take out the small ice sculpture to pray. They would kneel on the ground with complete devotion. All of these unbelievable things caused Wang Lin to have a very strange feeling about Shuiyu. This country, much like the snow and ice covering it, had no signs of vigor or life. The sky was the same as well. There was this dull feeling everywhere he went. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.